What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the third studio album by rapper Mac Miller called Good Morning. Now before we get into it, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Tradio. Tradio are a music streaming service, one that are relatively new, but they're definitely promoting something that I believe in. They help new artists kind of get their name out there. It's more for the independent. You're not going to see the big names on there. Of course, Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar, all these other names, they didn't get to where they were without fan involvement, and that's where people come in on Tradio. It kind of works like a stock market. You can really invest in the songs that you love, and you can kind of level up from there and win cool perks like even Skyping with some of your favorite band members. So I thought that was pretty cool. Tradio were kind enough to reach out to me, so I definitely suggest you guys check it out. Download the app or else visit their website. I will link to it in the description down below. It's really easy to sign up. It takes like 2 seconds to connect with either your Twitter or your Facebook account, and from there it's pretty much self-explanatory. You can see from some of the screenshots that I'm including here just how simple it is. If you're at all interested in new music, discovering things that you haven't heard of before, and maybe want to help an artist reach a new level of success, then definitely check out Tradio. It not only helps out yourself, but it helps out the channel ARTV as well. Mac Miller has been a pretty big name in the world of hip-hop in the past few years. He dropped Blue Slide Park, his debut studio effort, in 2011. He's been putting out albums about every 2 years or so. 2013's Watching Movies with the Sound Off is where I started to maybe get with a few tracks, but I still just wasn't connecting with this dude's vibe. I don't know what it was, but him and his just whole ego and his personality and that sort of thing, it just wasn't meshing well with me. But whenever I heard the lead single off of Good Morning called 100 Grandkids, that is when I kind of took a step back and I was like, okay, he's onto something here, I'm paying attention, and I'm definitely checking out the record. 100 Grandkids is probably Mac Miller's best song to date, at least from my point of view. I really love his flow on this track, the fact that he has a beat change up and then starts sampling Dream On by Aerosmith in the middle of this thing. It just worked perfectly, and it seems like one of those songs that doesn't even feel like it's almost 5 minutes long. Now, I have to compliment some of the production. That's a big part of why a lot of this record works for me. You've got the likes of DJ Dahi, ID Labs doing a lot of the production here, Thundercat, several other big names that you probably heard, and some credited and uncredited guest vocal spots as well. I'm not sure why some of the vocals went uncredited though, considering they were from pretty big names like Juicy J and Travis Scott. I think the main question to ask yourself whenever you go into Good Morning is, how much of Mac Miller am I ready to handle? Am I ready to sit down and listen to an hour and 10-minute long album with minimal guest, mostly just Mac Miller either going hard, some tracks are being a little bit more braggadocious and confident, like In the Bag, and of course 100 Grandkids. There's a few others that fall into that realm, and especially the epic track When in Rome, which is one of the most hard-hitting and fast-paced, one of his most angry and upbeat flows that I've ever seen him do. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum where he's getting a little bit more in touch with his feelings and his thoughts and that sort of thing, and that's where I feel like things start to drag. I'm not exactly feeling the album's moments like ROS, which goes on for over 5 minutes, and it's just a lackluster beat. There's a lot of trap-flavored production on this thing, and I feel like some of the tracks like ROS just kind of self-sabotage and work against themselves in a way because they have good ideas. Mac Miller is more lyrical, I guess, than I've ever seen him be, even though he does use a few ad-libs that I don't care for, considering Dropping GD is one of those, and pretty much you see the title of the album and you can see what that kind of spells out. Not exactly a fan of that, but I can overlook it. It just seems a little bit, I don't know, like a cop-out, like he didn't really have anything else to rhyme with. But for the most part, I commend the lyrical content on this thing, especially on tracks like Two Matches with Ab Soul. They kind of both have really strong verses on that thing, and I feel like Mac all throughout presented himself with attitude and fresh character. In fact, he says he made 9 albums before landing on Good Morning. I don't know if I believe that or not. I really like the track that comes right after the opening track, Doors, which was actually produced by Tyler, the Creator, oddly enough, but the track right after that, Brand Name, because sure, it's a little bit, cocky, it has that spirit about it, but at the same time, it offers some nice social commentary. The based god, Little B, blesses us with his presence on the track Time Flies, which flows nicely out of 100 Grandkids. I have to give it that, because I didn't even catch it the first few listens, but I started noticing towards the end of 100 Grandkids, Mac's talking about how time flies flies and that sort of thing, and then it transitions so smoothly. And I have to give the album's props for flowing really well. This album is kind of strange in the sense that it lifts you up a lot and then kind of drops you back down. It's ironic because he talks about on Time Flies how it's going to be a while before he gets to the top and then just skydives, talking about rappers who fall off their game. You know, they peak and then nobody ever hears from them again, and they don't put out an album for like 10 years or something like that. It's kind of ironic in a sense that he talks about that, because I feel like he's so back and forth. He's on this wobbling tower and it's like leaning one way, leaning the other. They build it back up with tracks, especially towards the end of this thing. We get a couple of hard-hitting ones like Cut the Check with Chief Keef, and then Ascension, and then you get a couple of strange tracks that are just a little bit out there to kind of close it out, like Jump, and then a track with the electronic and experimental group Little Dragon, the closing track on this thing called The Festival, which is just weird, opening up with Mac's verse and then just bringing Little Dragon in. And I don't exactly know how this collaboration came to be, but I'm not really feeling it. I don't think my favorite moments are necessarily the most upbeat or in-your-face tracks. It's just that whenever Mac presents himself with the most charisma or attitude, and he fails to do that on about half of these songs, resulting in kind of a mediocre listen. It's not that so many of these tracks are necessarily bad, it's just that they're not consistent. But whenever he is on his game, take tracks like Rush Hour for example, man, does it hit hard. There's a line on that track that just made me laugh hysterically, especially the first few times I played it, just because it kind of caught me off guard, and it's one of my favorite moments on the LP. He says, "I'm a deranged motherfucker, took too many uppers, now it's Rush Hour, Jackie Chan, and Chris Tucker." It's not exactly that it's the most clever thing in the world, it's just that it's kind of fresh and original, and I like whenever he gets into a groove like that. He falls into that on tracks even in the middle of this record, like Clubhouse, which was released as a pre-album single, and I'm actually really enjoying that one. It's definitely chilled out in a sense, and I like how mellow a lot of these songs are, even whenever he picks up the tempo a little bit, especially on tracks like Weekends, which of course features Miguel on the backing vocals and a little bit on the guest vocals. He doesn't know too much on his own, but it's still a pretty interesting collaboration there. It actually works. I thought this album got off to a really good start for the most part. I mean, there's moments that aren't that interesting I probably won't be coming back to, but they're pleasant enough to listen to. But then we get past tracks like Break the Law, which was, I thought, really good, and In the Bag, which was definitely one of the more ego-inflated tracks that worked quite well actually, but we get the track that's kind of a two-parter, Perfect Circle / Godspeed, which just really drags on for its nearly 8-minute runtime. Good Morning is definitely taking steps in the correct direction for Mac Miller. I like a lot of the flows and a lot of his lyrical content here, but at the same time, some of it feels flawed and recycled, so I'm a little bit split down the middle here. There's some songs that I see myself gravitating towards, and then there's some that it's like, okay, I'm playing it, it sounds good enough now, he's got some decent rhyme schemes here, but I don't see myself listening to this by the end of the year. So overall, Good Morning, Mac Miller's third studio album, I'm feeling a 3 out of 5. If you've listened to this record, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. While you're there, maybe smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. If there's other albums you'd like to see me review, definitely let me know with a comment. These next 2 weeks are gonna be insane. I've pretty much got to do a review every single day from now until like the 28th or something like that, or maybe even the end of the month if I want to cover all of the ones that I actually kind of want to cover. So if you leave a request, it might be a little bit before I get to it, but thanks for sticking with me and watching. I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.